good. Alright, so hello everyone, and welcome back to Factorio. So let's click resume and get right back into it. So when we left off, we were mostly focusing on Novice, trying to get our quality modules set up at any reasonable rate. And currently we're at the point where we have a lot of rare modules, but as far as the epic modules, or whatever they're called, yeah, as far as the epic ones are concerned, not doing great. And we just sort of need this to continue going. But really what we need is just like dramatically expanded production of all of this. Like, the current numbers that we're doing here are obviously not anywhere near enough. So, I think what we're going to be doing then is, let's figure out what exactly do we need to make these. We need superconductors, and we need a bunch of them. And those are the only things that come from off of Novice, right? Aside from the superconductors, it is just green and red circuits just mixed in a couple of times. So, what would be very cool is if we could get the system up and running to be producing quality circuit boards and then quality superconductors, and then that would be all good. But the problem is that the superconductors themselves take holmium plates, which we would need to get those in quality, which is holmium solution, which we can't really do. So yeah, that seems like getting that done is a job for the future. But I guess we are going to need to stare back at Fulgora and figure out how to get this working. So the whole factory here is currently dead because we have too many blue circuits. Now that is kind of a decent problem to have, honestly. So this is making the trip back and forth. And we just need to drop those blue circuits off on Novice and then figure out why exactly is Novice not accepting them. So this is set to request 2K. Oh, is this set to take blue circuits from Novice? Yeah, okay, so you need to be set to take blue circuits from Fulgora and then bring them to Novice. And that should do the trick. And set that up to a much higher amount, probably. So that'll be somewhat helpful. It does like part of the job. But then we're still going to need to occasionally destroy some blue circuits, which I could have sworn we had. Okay, we did have this thing over here, but it got fully jammed. So let's expand this out another set. If we just add enough of these on, eventually it'll stay functional. So eventually, hopefully, this should work. And there we go. So now we are going to be dismantling our spare blue circuits again. Not that I really want to be dismantling them, I want to be using them. But that's all we can do at the moment, and that's all we can do. Now, over here, still very minimal progress. We have plenty of fresh stuff coming in, so that's not the problem. And we also have plenty of the semiconductors or superconductors or whatever these are. That's not the problem either. The problem is, like, this processing line just isn't fast enough, and this processing line requires lots and lots of circuits. So what if we make a factory that just makes... I mean, we've already sort of done this, right? That's what this guy over here does. Just makes a huge amount of red circuits and then drones them in. And this is going... It's going fine. We've got plenty of red circuits. We don't have enough blue circuits. Or enough green circuits, apparently. So, right, that's what we need to do, is we need to add, like, 1 or 2 more of these guys onto here. Which is going to involve taking that out. So all of that is going to have to go away. And then we get another one of you, another one of you, and another one of you. Alright, so now this is going to go all the way up to here before heading down. And the plates will go all the way up to there. Then we get all those in, and now for the modules and speed modules. Alright, so that should be everything that we need for these. Oh, we need power and we need the settings. Those are both important. So power, check. We need bulk inserters here. And you need to be set to make green circuits. And then we need the outputs, which actually means that these bulk inserters need to be moved slightly, like that. And then we get this and this. Okay, for some reason this whole thing didn't get dismantled. We need that to get dismantled. Then we need you to output onto there. And then this comes down into that. Alright, now we apparently need a couple more power poles around here. Gosh, higher quality power poles will have longer supply area, which will be quite fun. I'm excited for that to happen. Alright, so now all of that stuff is getting built in. And we just need the power poles for the extras to get built. And then hopefully that'll be the green circuit supply sorted. So the other thing that we can do is, if our problem is blue circuits, then this guy here is providing blue circuits, right? And it's not providing a huge number of them, but it's doing something. So let's simply copy this, add space platform, blue circuit 2 over novice, and then that can get built up and then supply us more blue circuits from space, which will be quite handy. Apparently this is still going, although I think some progress has actually been made. Yeah, there we go. Alright, so these are starting to show up bit by bit. And then the problem is just scaling up past all this stuff. So, we need you to be upgraded next, probably. And then you... Those two getting upgraded should hopefully be helpful. Alright, so blue circuit 2 has been crafted, so now we can paste just that entire gigantic thing. Cyan, hello. We are still trying to get quality working, which means we need even more blue circuit production to go into this absolute giant resource sink that we have here. So that is going, and we're just trying to get this going. We've added another space platform to make more blue circuits, and hopefully that will be helpful. And then the other thing, yes, this blue circuits do still consider making quality ingredients. Yes, the problem is that like the number of different quality ingredients we would need would be very high. Like we need to make quality blue circuits and quality quality red circuits and quality tier 2 modules and quality superconductors, and that's just a lot of quality modules that we would need to make all of that. Whereas doing it this way, I just have like one production line which we can expand the quality modules for. I am eventually, like that's going to be my next step, is making quality ingredients once I have enough modules of higher quality that can make that actually like a manageable thing to do. But for now we're doing it like this. Alright. So this is going. And blue circuit supply, still the limiting factor, as always. And unfortunately, now we're going to be launching a bunch of rockets, which is also going to temporarily cut into our blue circuit supply. But it should be improved in the long-ish term. Alright, so there's another one of those. Our drones, we're using like 2,000 drones at a time here, which is quite a lot. Mostly just doing this whole giant run of blue circuits across. So it looks like we did manage to get that in. And did I make these? Okay, most of these I forgot to get stack inserters onto those. So let's do that. And also we apparently need yet another power pole. So let's get that upgrade in. And then hopefully that will be enough green circuit supply for everything. Alright, so green circuits are going through. Now the blue circuits are mostly being limited by their own production rate, which should mean that we can just expand this whole thing again. So, if we take that Roboport out, and we just copy-paste, like, that-ish, and then we just sort of get this going up a bunch. like that. So hopefully that should do the trick and give us even more blue circuit production here on Novice as well. And we might want to just belt the blue circuits over this way, just even so that the drones can have a shorter trip. So this belt is just going to go over this way and underneath all of this stuff. And yeah, I mean, we can just sort of keep this going, right? If this belt just goes all the way over to here, we're almost there. And then up this way. And now we can just split it. And so half of them... Actually, we need to make sure to not mix up with the other side of the belt. So half of them go into that, and then the other half go into here. And so that should dramatically reduce the demand for drones on the blue circuit line. And it looks like we might have a bit of a backlog now, actually. No, these are all being set to be picked up instantly. Okay. So these machines up here are currently not running. And that is because they are lacking electronic circuits. The sulfuric acid supply is still perfectly good. But we need even more green circuits, apparently. Although maybe it's getting somewhat up there. Alright, green circuits. How much more of you guys can we do? If we move the steam turbines elsewhere, we can fit a good chunk more of them in. Let's see, power is fine, right? Like if we chop off... If we just chop this off, it's not gonna break things. Oh, right, there's that thing we need to fix. I had to move the trains, so we need to bring you back a little bit further, and then you need to just get up to there. And just like that, and then the trains should be reconnected again. So that's that problem solved. Then we need to remove you, and I should have done copy instead of cut, instead of just remove, but that's fine. So then we just pop in more steam engines up here, and we can even get a whole second row in, because why not? And then this, just underground pipes along to there, and we're done. So then that should go through there, and then across to all of this thing, and just get that connected up. And that should be all the steam power we removed back up and running again. Okay, then we just need to copy paste this entire setup. So something like that, copy paste, and it goes into there, and then a little bit more up to there. And then this goes all the way up and over and back down. And might need to be turbo belts though, so let's get those upgraded. Alright, so that's all upgraded in. Now our logistics drones are very, very busy. We have 3,000 of them doing things right now. So one of the main reasons for that is because these guys, which we should be able to just remove entirely at this point, and just let the blue circuits flow along this new belt that I built. And that should get them over to here, where they need to be. So hopefully that is good. And let's see, this whole thing is basically in, except for the 2 vital belts right there and there. Also, that apparently needs a power pole. Alright, so that belt is in, and now we get green circuit supplies again. So there we go. All of these guys get to run now. And hopefully that should be all the green circuits that we need. I'll have to see if we have enough, like, wire production. Because it seems like we very well might not. Which should be relatively easy to fix. We just need to copy paste this up a little bit. And of course the trains are going to be in the way. So I guess we'll just do this like that. Wait, they have to be lined up correctly. So you are like this. And you get your productivity modules. And you get your input. Then this needs to go up a little bit further before branching in that way. And we then need something like that to provide all of the wire. And we also might need to do something about just how this is organized exactly, because a whole lot of these guys are just sending their wire directly down that way where it can't do much. Alright, let's get a power pole in so that this stack inserter can run. And there we go. So that is all in. And the wire supply is back. And hopefully good enough now. But we still need that second. We still need that power pole. So it'll be real cool. There we go. That power pole is in. And now we have almost this entire half belt of wire. And it's not enough, it seems. Yeah, this is definitely crazy in terms of just how much output there is and how much we're using. So that is doing its thing. We are steadily getting more of the stuff, so that's cool. Now the blue circuits are indeed heading along this way. And they've backlogged that row and are now filling in this row whenever possible. How is blue circuit 2 going? We still need 10,000 space platform foundations. Well, that's a terrifyingly huge amount. Let's make sure to get requesting those at even higher numbers so that that can just keep on going. Right. So now, how is this doing? Now we are short of iron. We need more iron plates. So that we should just be able to copy paste you, get you up a bit, and we're going to be missing one of those extra things. That's fine. So you just go like that. And hopefully just the one extra foundry should be enough. Because that's going to be like another 10 plus. Should be more than that. It says 4 beacons, this only has 3. Okay, and then I guess we can also use some of this space. How much molten iron is this? 400. Alright, so this is definitely enough molten iron. So let's just like add a couple extra beacons in here. And if we need more molten iron later, we're going to have to do something about that, but for now it should be fine. So that is in. And the iron is, I guess, almost making it up to the top. And this one runs occasionally. Once all these beacons get their modules, it should go even faster. And then we just follow back to here, where this is all doing its best. And now the number of processing units in logistics storage is basically 0. So what happened to these guys? Okay, they're just going as fast as they can. That's what happened to them. And all these rockets are just launching huge amounts of foundations, which we are still doing our best to craft. And then back over here on this side of things, is that a couple of rare outputs that I see there? All right, we need to just get that filtered in, I guess. Did not realize that was the thing that was potentially going to happen. All the rest of these are just shoved directly into the side, so that wouldn't be a problem for them. But there we go. That is indeed 2 more of these, which can then get picked up and sent into the machines. So we are getting there. So this one is 20%, this one is 23.5%. That's marginally better. Marginally better. It's not incredible at all. Alright, back over to here. Supply of red circuits has completely died because of a lack of plastic. Plastic isn't getting any petroleum gas. So the petroleum gas isn't getting water? Why? Why are we not getting water? Oh, I see. This got broken when I built that stuff in. So let's get that in, and we might need to expand this production even higher up. We're also going to need to expand the oil across to this one. Now we're missing one of these refineries because of this rail support. Alright, but water is back. So that should help get everything else going. So now we are making our red circuits. And that should be that. Yeah, and this blue circuit production is still going as well. Nothing to see there. These machines are basically all going. Looks like. So, let's see. How much more can we expand this? Well, the blue circuits are still an issue. Cannot do much without our blue circuits. So that's a problem. But we do have this stuff showing back up again. So we just have to refill what's left of these boxes before we get full red circuit capacity down to there. Okay, now we have a bunch of these guys are output full, or at least a couple of them are. So, what that means is we need to wrap some of this into the other side, which shouldn't be too hard. So we just need to grab some space in there. Then this goes out like that. This goes in like that. And all of these red circuits should now build up on the opposite side, and then we should be using both sides of the belt. We could obviously do some more shenanigans to get stack inserters going, like we did with the green circuits, but this should be just fine. Wait, is that right? Wait, that's wrong, isn't it? That just puts them directly onto the same side. Genius. Alright, so we need to dismantle that again then. And this... How do we get this to work? We need this to go up to here. How do we get this to work? I remember I had it figured out. Oh, did we just have to go out the other direction, I think? So we get that in, and we get that in. Then we have this space available. Then you go out like that. You go up like that, and now we should be good to go. Except this underground belt there is facing the wrong direction. Alright, so that should be all sorted. And then we just need this stuff to get built in. There we go. Just a couple more. What are we dismantling there? What are we dismantling there, which is causing problems? Please just do the thing. Alright, can I just like cancel the... Okay, no, we finally... Of course, as soon as the drone that was waiting there, as soon as I tried to get it to leave to figure out what was happening, whatever it is eventually ended up working. So now we have to wait for that drone to show back up again. Alright, so we just need this little corner piece so that all of our red circuits can show up. And hopefully that'll be soon. Alright, there we go. Red circuits are now going through. And that should basically be that. As far as this goes, we can't really expand it much more super easily without doing weird loop around stuff like we did with the red circuits. But the green circuit supply looks solid. At least temporarily. Who knows if it'll keep up. The green circuit supply looks solid. The red circuit supply is moving now. So how many of these do we have? Currently, none. Because this whole thing hasn't been getting blue circuits for a while. Yeah, I guess that'll take a little bit to get built back up. More than just like a couple random ones. So this is going. And we still have plenty of foundations to keep building. It's probably not very space efficient up there. Like, we could probably do a lot better now with more advanced stuff that we have and just building at larger scale. But that's what the surface of the planet is for. Space is for building stuff which just works independently and doesn't need to deal with all of that other stuff. Alright, so now that we have this in, let's honestly just cut those out. Just so that we aren't constantly draining our supply of blue circuits that we might want to use for other things. Right, so that's that. And this stack of servers just sitting there, annoying me, holding a mostly full stack. So let's just pick it up and get those blue circuits going elsewhere. Alright, so now this is all in. And I wonder if we also just use this red circuit production. So if we just put these red circuits onto the other side of this belt. Yeah, let's just do that. So this... Wait, no, we need this to go out a little bit. And then you go down like that. You go across. And then this belt should have both red and blue circuits on it. So then, we can scroll over to here. And, wait, no, we don't want to do that just yet. So we can cut this out for now, I guess. And then once the red circuits get through, which they're starting to already, then we can accommodate just having things on both sides. Okay, so the problem is that this is going to swap the side that the different outputs are on, which we're going to have to fix somehow. So I guess the way we fix that is by just sort of removing these belts and building them back in again. Those belts go away and then go back in. And then that one goes away and then goes back in without stuff on it facing the wrong side. And now that connects up to there. And we're all good. So the only thing left is let's get the red circuits filtered out of this. So you red circuits wait, no. That's wrong. We need this to be a regular splitter and then a red circuit filter. Wait, no, that's not what I ended up clicking at all. How did I manage to mess that up? So you go out here. You are a red circuit filter, which takes the red circuits forwards, and then they just go into here. That's already set up to be on the correct side of the belt, so we don't need to do anything fancy there. And now we can take that out. Now the only thing we're taking in via drone here are these green circuits. So that's good. But also, now all of these have stopped because... Oh, there's a belt there. Right. So that is gone now. And we're gonna need to get these blues off of there, and then build it back in without them. Like that. Alright. Come on. Drones, show up with these belts, please. Thank you very much. Just a couple more. And every individual drone showing up counts. There we go. Now that is all set up. And now we don't have to worry nearly so much about the stupid drones doing all the transportation. So, in the meantime, this one is mostly producing blue circuits for the rocket launches, which we are making good progress on. We're at like 10k space foundations needed earlier. So how is this going? We have no excess of the blue circuits, but we should have decent production of them, at least. Especially if we just nice and casually pop that back on. We don't want the full 3 of these, but we do want some supply of blue circuits from this chain to go into rocket launches and the whole drone system in general. Alright, so now up here we have 2 spares of these. And we need to just keep putting them in. It's honestly kind of a small improvement though, which is weird. It feels like it should be a bigger improvement than it is. Like this is quality of plus 2.5%. Rares. These are plus 4.7 versus 4. So it's only like a 0.7 improvement per level. So I don't know, maybe the rares are just what we have to deal with then. That would be annoying if true. Alright, now back over to here. This we are actually keeping up. The blue circuit demand is only in the 40s when we have more than that. So that's good. And then there's this thing over here, which is just continuing to do its thing. Okay, so we have a couple of these now. Where do we want to upgrade next? So any of these which are frequently running would be better. So let's have you and you next. We're almost at the point where all of the electromagnetic plants are fixed up. Although it's not exactly a quick process by any stretch of imagination. So the inputs to all of these seem like they're enough, which means that we just need to continue making more of these. Alright, so what if we expand this up even more? The red circuits up here are already insufficient, apparently. And is that just a throughput problem? Do we need to... Okay, it's not a throughput problem. Everything is getting its output. So we don't need to start stacking these, which is good, I guess. But it does mean that we kind of can't do all that much more up here. This is pretty much as fast as it can go at the moment. Alright. This is not going nearly as fast as I would have hoped, and also is so much more resource intensive than I would like. So, hopefully this is enough module production. Like, I guess we can use rare quality modules. So, what we need to do is we need to be making... Let's see here. If we make... What's like the lowest tier input that we can make quality for these? So these are made of two types of circuits, superconductors and quality module 2s. Quality module 2s are made of red and blue circuits. Quality module 1s, which are made of red and green circuits. So if we get like all the way down to the base, we should be able to get a huge amount of stuff going through and just get a lot of like high quality circuits, and then hopefully that will be good. So green circuits we've got over here. Green circuits are just copper wire and iron plates. So we can just make quality copper and iron. Red circuits add plastic, which we should be able to do relatively easily, I think. And then blue circuits just add sulfuric acid, which doesn't matter. So if we make quality versions of iron plates, copper wire, and plastic, then the only thing left is the superconductors, which is going to be the hard part. So superconductors are copper, plastic, so we have both of those already. So then we just add holmium plates. Okay. Let's see if this is better. I don't know if this will be better. I feel like it won't be, but it's worth a shot. And even if it isn't much better, at least it'll be more expandable. So, what we need is... we need some space, really. Just build this somewhere out of the way where we can just expand real big. Maybe even a space platform. No, that's probably a bad idea. We can't get plastic up there easily. I guess we could just like build it out in like this area. I mean, that's not used, but it is close to the train network, which is important. So, what we need here is just to deal with these guys one at a time, I think, will be the key. So step 1 is get the drone coverage. So let's just get a drone port in there. Then get it a drone port like in here, which should be close enough to connect up. And then we just get the power poles to those. Then this whole thing goes this way. So let's just take a train line off of this, and let's see here. How is this going to work? We just need you to then go down here and then loop in eventually, like that. And then you need some signals. Alright, so you get a signal there, and you're going to get a signal there, so that you're a whole separate thing from this sort of main line area. Then, oh, this, you can't do train stations diagonally. That's important. So we actually need to take this out and, no, don't take out that. That track is actually important. So we need to make this whole thing straight, just vertical. So you just go like this for a bit. And then you can loop back around and then just get into here. Alright, kind of cursed, but fine. So now we just put our signals back on, which can be there, and that one already exists. Alright, now we should be able to get our train stop in there with a refueler. And that goes out to there. Alright, so this is going to go in, and then we're going to put in, actually, we're going to have this. And if that train stop can get placed so that I know where exactly to align this to, that would be great. Alright, so that goes into there. And we apparently need a drone port to get closer up that way for you. And then this, we're going to want to be super fast. Alright, now do we smelt iron plates on site, or do we just have a dedicated iron plate production thing? Oh, also these need to be steel chests because of how we do this. So if we want to smelt the iron plates on site, that would be a bit of added complication. And we do have iron plate sources, right? So let's just go call this an iron plate destination. And hope that we get enough iron plates in. Oh, I hit that. I hit the button. Alright, so we're probably going to want to add even more iron plate smelting. But for now, we have this. So we need to take all this stuff out just to give us some space to work, and we're probably going to actually build out that way. So, what we need are a whole bunch of assembly machines which make iron chests. And what this is, 60 items a second, but it's multiple stacks. So, if we get a whole bunch of these guys in, then get the turbo splitter in, and all of these inserters here need to be stack inserters in order to use this belt space the best. Alright, so then we just have this, which is going to expand across to there. And let's do... Wait, no, we don't want to be doing speed beacons here, right? Because of the quality decrease. So yeah, we actually just have a whole giant row of these guys. So that row makes a whole bunch of iron chests. And then outputs them. Alright, so this... No trains are actually coming here. Despite the fact that they seem to be doing some stuff. That train is just waiting in the station. It isn't actually here. Alright. So that's weird, but probably fine. Alright, now where were we? We were down here. So we had an input belt to make a whole giant row of iron chests. And yeah, let's build this out this way where we have more space rather than in this tiny little cramped corner that we have here. So you are gonna go over here. And then this belt is just gonna be wrapping around past that. And let's also get in... Where is this? Alright. Get rid of all those trees. Just the whole area. Just the whole area, no trees, so I can see what I'm doing. So, this takes a whole bunch of iron plates and is going to make a whole bunch of iron chests. Then we need to get the stack inserters in and out so that we can actually do stuff with this. So we have all of that. Now we need to... Yeah, this belt definitely needs to face the other way. We need to filter this belt down to the various qualities. So you... Let's see, the way we did this up here, which ended up kind of, but not quite working. Speaking of which, something gone wrong here. No, this is still going. This is still going, it's just the blue circuit supply is bad. Blue circuit supply is bad because the green circuit supply isn't great. And that just sort of is what it is, really. Alright, so yeah, that's fine. So what we did over here for our quality upcycling was we had all of the things go into one giant row of recyclers, and then we filtered them out to all the different qualities they could have afterwards. And is that a good way of doing it? Is that a good way of doing it? Still concerning, by the way, that these guys haven't shown up. They're just very, very much busy doing other stuff. So I guess what I can do is, if you come over this way, I just want to get like another belt into here so that this can get the iron input, which, okay, I think I see a line. If we go up to there, and then you come across to there, and then you come down to there, then we do that, and that should get more iron ore into this side of things, which should get the smelting going faster. And I keep hitting escape to try to get back to where I was looking, which is not the correct spot. Okay, so now the problem is this is going to be sort of the second priority for where the iron plates go, but that is fine. So hopefully that works out. So this gives us our whole giant row of chests. Then we are going to be recycling them down. And we want this to be expandable, right? So we need to recycle them down in some other location, which, I don't know, maybe we just like, if we just do a horrible little zigzag like that, just so that now we can expand this belt along this way. Wait, no, that's the input belt. That's definitely not what I want. So we have to take all that out. We need the output belt to be doing this. So the output belt, let's see, is everything from here going into the recyclers? I think so. So actually we just do this horrible little zigzag, but up here basically. So now we get a nice solid row of recyclers. And they are gonna get just bulk inserters, should be fine for them. And this is probably actually going to be insanely quick because of how the recipe works, so this should be fine. So then these recyclers are going to output iron plates of a couple different qualities. So we just need to then get more of these assembly machines up there. So we take you up. So this is going to give us iron plates of regular quality, uncommon quality, and occasionally rare quality, basically. Also, is this zigzag? The zigzag doesn't have to be like that. We can improve that slightly. Technically it doesn't matter, but if we just do this, it's less ridiculous, and I think it actually scales properly now. So this one does the same thing. You're going to go back that way, And alright, so the regular quality iron plates are going to be output priority left, quality normal. So then those are going to go into here, where they will be input priority left. So the normal iron plates just get looped back into this first row as a priority. Then we get a couple other qualities of iron plates out as well. So those are going to be going forwards to make more different types. So we get you, and you are going to make iron chests with uncommon quality, like this. Output priority right, filter, uncommon quality. Alright, so then this should be plenty. Like, realistically, if we can use this many of these, I'll be quite happy. Also, the fact that we still haven't gotten any iron plates in is suspicious. We're going to have to add another iron plate source with like foundry smelting and stuff. We'll work on that later once we have this design. Hopefully things will be easier. Alright, so then these guys obviously take from their belt, and then they output back this way. Okay, so their output, we kind of want it to wrap back into these recyclers, right? Although, do we want them to have a dedicated thing? No, I think reusing the same recyclers should be good, especially because we're probably going to be able to use a whole bunch of them. So yeah, then this output will go down this way and into there. So then we get those out, and this just continues to go forwards to another one, which is going to filter out the rare qualities. And we're just going to do the same thing here. Just like this. Of course, there are trees in the way. And then this just goes back down like that. And these are going to be set to make rare quality iron chests. And then we don't need to... Okay, so now all we need to do is we go to here and we filtered out commons, uncommons, and rares. So now we filter out the epics, and those are just going to go forwards, and we'll deal with them in a minute. So even if we get epic quality chests out of this, then we still have to recycle them back down anyways. So this is like the only output that we need for this. So if we just get the quality modules into this, this should make ultra epic quality iron plates, which is one of the things that we need. One of the many things. so let's start with just like the first of all of those. And then let's go back up here. This is doing nothing. Why? You are short on module 2s. You are short on blue circuits. So blue circuit production has failed entirely. We don't have any green circuits. Where are all of our green circuits? We don't have any iron plates. Because we don't have any iron ore. Where is... This is the train which is supposed to be bringing the iron ore. Okay, so we just ran out of iron ore, apparently. That's... I guess that's fine. So, let's get another iron source in, then. And when we do this, we might as well also give it the ability to smelt directly to iron plates. So if we go down to one of these guys, that should be pretty easy to do. Alright, so we just need to... Let's get a Spidertron over here. That'll make things easier, I think. So we just need to just directly take some train tracks out of there and then start setting them up. So you get a chain signal in there because that's like a whole intersection thing which we don't want to have blocked. You get a rail signal which should be fine. Alright, then we just take this all the way down and... Okay, having it go all the way there in just one click would be kind of unhinged. So let's have it do that. And then run the Spidertron through. Just run the Spidertron through, getting assignments to all the bits that aren't otherwise assigned. So the Spidertron goes down, and this is just one side of the tracks. I have to get the other side in as well. Alright. So we are making progress. There we go. Now we're down to there. We go back up to this. And then we just sort of do something like that. And eventually this Spidertron is going to run out of rails. That will be a problem for the future. Looks like we're going to potentially get quite close to getting this whole thing, if not all of it. Alright, so that is all assigned at least. And the drones just have to make their way down, obviously. So that's all good. And I guess the problem here is just that it takes long to physically load it. So we can just make that improvement really quick. Just, if all of these are stack inserters, then we'll be able to just physically load the trains much faster. I don't know why I did this like this. This is a dumb way of doing it, but whatever. So that should be sending out iron ore trains a lot quicker, and that's going to be in addition to what we're doing here. And our Spidertron is even getting itself refilled on rails. That's nice. Alright, so then Spidertron is going to run down this way. Alright, so now we have landfill, right? We can just get over that little gap relatively easily. Spidertron's going to have to walk around in the short term. So now we're over here. And let's get some big mining drills. Did I ever make a blueprint for this? No, I didn't. I should do that just to make it slightly easier. So we get big mining drill over there. And then over there. And if I remember correctly, what I had done was I had like this little underground portion of the belt, which let me fit power poles directly in there. Yeah, I know there's a tree in the way. I just want to get rid of the tree. Alright, so this all goes in. And we just keep on pasting it. And, alright, this might... we might need more... yeah, these electrical poles are not connected up to each other. So, let's see here. You are there. We need it to go like that to connect the whole thing up. So if we just get that copy pasted in, then hopefully that will be good. And I cannot see what I have and haven't assigned correctly, so let's get the Spidertron down here. Get all this stuff built up. And then what I also need to do is I need to connect this across, and we're just going to brute force across the ocean there with the power of landfill. And let's get the rest of these mining drills in as well. Okay, we are going to need to actually properly drone those in. That's fine. So drone port goes there. And you're going to run up there to get it placed. And then you run over this way to get that landfill in. Now you should be able to squeeze across the ocean there. And now we just run a power line all the way up to there. And the Spidertron can get that built. And then we get drone ports placed along this power line once it's in. Okay, we apparently missed some down there. And then those bits are within drone port range, so that's fine. Now we just need to get these placed in every so often. And actually, it'll genuinely just be easier to start from the other side, because that way we can use the drone ports that are on board the Spidertron to do it. So we go there, and that's placed in. Then we go up to there, and Spidertron gets that one placed. All the way up to there. Spidertron moves up and places it. And then we connect the drone network up. Alright, so now that that is all connected across, these guys should see the more distant sources of big mining drills, and that should get built. Now we're going to move the Spidertron back down just to continue accelerating this up. Alright. It's so disorienting the way that this works sometimes with the night vision, just like blinking on and off like that. Alright, so then... No, that's the wrong button. We need a power line in there. And those go across. Let's get the Spidertron just physically standing here so that hopefully you can do it. Alright, there are those. We need a power line in there with that connected across. And one in there. Connect that across. So now that whole row is powered up. This row is just missing one power line. Like that. And then we just need to get this row connected in. And then we'll be all good. So now we've got plenty of iron ore coming from here. Now we just need to merge it all up. And actually I want this small one to get merged into this one first, so that we can get maximum capacity out of the two big ones. Alright, so now we have that. We get the rails in. And those are going to go like that. And like that. And then that gets looped around. Hopefully the Spidertron can get in here to help this all speed up. Nope, apparently it's waiting on drones from across the planet to dismantle the trees. That's fine. So now we just need to connect this up. So this goes down and into there. This goes there and then into there. And that is all set up. Whole bunch of drones showing up very slowly over this gap now. Might want to put some drone ports in there just for the sake of it. Alright, so then this should be all set up. Let's get some signals on it. And which direction does this go? So these are signaled to go... Oh wait, no, this is backwards, isn't it? You are going up this way, I think. Wait, no, you're going down this way. Was that correct? It might have been correct. I don't know, where did the signals go? I'm used to having them on my hotbar. So this goes down this way, and we're going to get a signal into there, which means that this must go up this way, so we have a signal there. Right, so that should be correct. Yes, that goes up that way. So this, we then carry that all the way down to here. And let's put some random signals in partway along just to help. So our train stop is going to be there facing that way. And then let's just get a train loader blueprint in. Where do we have a relatively modern version of that? Up here. There we are. So let's just copy paste all of this and bring it down to here. And gosh, how is this going to go in? And we're going to have to ignore the walls and the lasers. Those aren't meant to be there. So I think this is spaced somewhere like this. I don't know. Let's just place that and hope we get lucky. All right. So do we even need the lasers here? I guess like these biters there could attack us. We're on a nice little peninsula here, which is very secure. And we haven't accidentally like connected anything across there that would ruin it. Alright, if we are going to have lasers, they're not going to be in this close. So let's take all of that out. And then we're just going to run this back. And that goes into there. That goes up and into there. And we did manage to get this aligned mostly correctly. So that's all good. It's slightly off-center from how I usually do it, but it's centered enough that it won't cause any problems. Okay, let's build a laser wall up here, just because we might as well. And okay, that is good enough. So now that should cover this whole peninsula area from any attacks not from this direction, I guess. Which seems like an unlikely direction for them to just walk along the rails like that. If the biters attack like that, then well played. I doubt that they will. So then this is iron source. And yeah, we instantly have a train coming down here because we apparently need that. Now let's also get some signals in there just for even more assurance that we have our signals set up correctly. And now this is filling up. So we should be clear to go with this being functional. And okay, it looks like some of these connections aren't going quite right. So you need a connection there. You need a connection there. And I guess we'll just have to see. It's a shame you can't like force place things from the Spidertron. Like you can with being physically present, like manually place things. I guess if I just like move that and then rebuild it, and remove that and rebuild it. There we go. So that works. Now we've got a train here loading up. So hopefully that will provide the iron ore that we need. And speaking of which, how has this been going? We have 2 of these and no sign of any progress. And now we're short red circuits again. And now it's because of no plastic again. But this time we ran out of light oil. And that's because we don't have any crude oil here. And that is because this train stop doesn't have anyone going to it. Alright, so how is our crude oil sources? Where are they? We've got this guy down here. And you have a whole lot of guys at like 5 and 6 per second, and a couple are down at 2 per second. Alright, so I think the easiest thing would be, let's just spam some speed modules into all of these guys. Get them going faster. Apparently I missed one. So I think they're probably just like at the minimum resource supply at this point, so we're going to need all those speed modules. And apparently now we're low on speed modules. How's Vulcanist support doing? Neither of you have any speed modules. Does Vulcanist? We've got 35 of them here. So why are you not running faster? No speed module 2s, because no speed module 1s, because no red circuits. Because ultimately no plastic, because no coal. Alright, well, I mean, I guess that's just because these guys are both away right now. So it should eventually get sorted out. Hopefully. So we have a train already coming down here. And it wants to be loading up despite the fact that there's not all that much down here. Alright, so now this is going faster. So now this is going a lot faster. Which hopefully will provide the crude oil that we need for this. If not, where else do we have more crude oil? I can't see it, possibly because of the giant pollution cloud. Got some over there. Got some down there. So there's plenty of places we can go if we need more crude oil. But hopefully we just have enough here with those speed modules. Where else are we getting crude oil that I can just module up real fast? I could have sworn there was some spot over on this side. Yes, but you're already speed moduled and very, very slow. So this down here, I don't even know what this was at one point. This is copper source, but it's completely dead. Alright, yeah, let's remove that copper source from existence, because that's useless. And then our other crude oil supply is this one over here. So let's assign you some speed modules, which we don't currently have, but hopefully we should get some in the near future. Because we just need more crude oil. Alright, so this is all good. It's completely filled up with iron. And now all of these trains are waiting at destinations. So that's cool. So now if we go back up to this area, did you ever... No, you still somehow managed to juke the iron plate train. Okay, so let's add in a new iron plate train then. So we need somewhere reasonably close to here because we're going to be droning the calcite in. but still access to train tracks. How about like out this area? So if we want to just like take something off of this, how would we get there? So we need it to go down this way before entering into there. And then we need it to leave out this way as well. So we just need this to connect up to that. This connects down to there. And now this whole setup is in. And we're just going to get that. And we need a train stop. Actually, let's get an unloader in. Just like a basic one. Let's get this in first and then place the train stop in a way that lines up with it. So that is going to go there and then loop around to you. And this whole area is then going to get some rail signals like there and down to there. And then the train stop itself, which, why is it not showing me the little bars for where this goes? Is it because it's not physically on actual tracks right now? Yes, so we need to get those actual tracks in. And we also need to upgrade this blueprint to use steel chests at some point. Alright, so that is all in. Now this, we just put you into there. And you are going to be... Wait, actually this is more complicated because we need an output train too, right? So we need something like this, I guess. Alright, so we just have that in. That's not too bad. And then we will do all the stuff with the smelting and then be done. Alright, so those boxes also need to get upgraded. And we might need to make these stack inserters, who knows. In the meantime, let's get a train loader blueprint. Just something basic like this, and then do some upgrades to it. Alright, so that goes in. And let's upgrade planner all of this stuff again. And throw in the faster, the better boxes like that. And apparently we need a drone port out here. So that goes there and gets powered up so that this whole thing can be ready. Train stop goes down here. Just like that. So this is going to be iron destination. This one is going to be iron plate source. And let's see, we need to connect all of this up to the power grid in a meaningful way. Like that. So now all these can actually do their things. And let's upgrade planner those again, actually, just to be sure. And once those last couple of power poles get placed in, then this whole thing should get lit up. And those last extra chunks over there should be assigned. Alright, just waiting on this one. Alright, there we go. So now this is recharging. And power grid's doing fine still. No problems there. Alright, so now we just need to use a turbo splitter here and just run you out this way. And now we get our foundries in. And this should be pretty straightforward. We're not even going to need too many because foundries plus beacons go burr. So, I don't know, just something like that should be extreme overkill. And then these are going to be iron ore melting. And then we need our calcite, which is just gonna be droned in because you hardly need any of it. Calcite there. So you can summon up 100 of that. Then we get speed modules and productivity modules. Settings pasted. Okay, how's Vulcanus doing, by the way? We do need our speed modules to actually get produced. That would be quite helpful. Vulcanus support 2 doesn't have any. Vulcanus support doesn't have any either. But what Vulcanus support does have is a whole lot of coal. So is this doing its job properly? It should be. Are these like not waiting at Vulcanus long enough? Who can say? It should be fine though. It should be fine though. So then those get placed across. And now we get a pipeline there, which then lets us do iron casting. And then those just go along where they go. Beacons with speed modules will go in once we have the speed modules to do. Then these guys can all cast iron plates. And we're going to need a lot more of them, actually, because this is not that fast at the present moment. Alright, so let's see here. These guys are making 47, which is going to be a lot faster once the speed modules go in. Yeah, this whole thing is very hard to judge without the speed modules. But, like, if we go up to here where we have some of that with full speed modules, it's literally 10 times as fast with 4 beacons. And so that's going to be making, like, 400. These are going to be using, like, 80 to 90 each. Alright, well, that's gonna take the beacons showing up for that to happen. Is that enough space in there to squeeze in a substation? It is. Well, that's handy. So that basically solves our power problems. So we can get the substations into there. Okay, Vulcanist support 2. What are you doing? You are getting calcite loaded mostly, which should be easy, right? There's not enough speed modules on the planet to fill a rocket. Oh, I didn't mean to remove that. I meant to do the opposite of remove that, actually. I meant to set a custom minimum payload of like 40 so that we get those launched. So at least the ones that we have currently can get launched up. And you have sent down all of your coal, so that's fine. So you're basically just doing what you can. And at some point we just need to finally get around to actually expanding on Vulcanist to get more coal locally so that we don't have to go through all this nonsense. Alright, so yeah, plastic supply is back up and running, which means that this can all produce again. But obviously that is going to be off and on quite a bit. 3,000 coal just doesn't really go all that far. Oh, and there's a fighter randomly showed up here. How did you get past this? Whatever. We're just going to have our Spidertron run over. And are you armed? You should be armed. You should have rockets. So that should be okay. He's not going to be biting into anything super valuable, just some belts, which are getting repaired about as fast as he can bite them. The Spidertron's probably going to do more damage, actually. Alright, Spidertron is almost here. And where did you... had you ordered to just sort of stand right on top of him. Alright, there we go. Problem solved, and now the Spidertron can just sort of hang out here for a bit. Vulcanist Support 2 is about to leave. It didn't actually get its full calcite cargo. We have plenty on the planet. We have plenty of rocket capacity. Does Vulcanist not have the rockets to launch? No, it has the rockets to launch. I don't know what that's about. But anyways, back down to here. Let us just copy paste this out a little bit, just so that we have plenty of extreme overkill for that. And then we will be getting that belt across so that we can put all of our stuff onto it. Alright. How many of these are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, let's get one more just so we can have an even 8 of them. And is this just like a slight drone dead zone? Yes, it is. Alright, let's get drone coverage out to there so that the rest of that can get filled in. Alright, so then we get a little bit more of this out. And then we just set you up to do the whole outputting to the opposite side of the belt thing, in case that matters, like that. And then we just squeeze the substations in every so often. And then something like that should be all that we need. Alright, so the calcite is here. The iron ore is not. We are probably going to need to make another train for this. 4 of those. Let's get the Spidertron over. And is it able to do this? No, I don't think it has that train stuff in. It's set. Alright, that's fine. It'll get there eventually. You just run back over this way, just in case some biters show up. Don't want to lose foundries if we can avoid it. Okay, so now all we need is just pop that in and connect this back up to there. And then we get our inserters for these. There, there, there. And for these, the calcite gets its inserters. Alright, so that is all in. And if we had the iron ore, then we would be good to go. So the train is in. Now we get the refueler. And we set you to the iron group. Oh, and you're gonna need that whole weird setting thing, aren't you? Let's see, if we go to here, we're gonna need to copy that, paste it down here, then get you connected up like that. And you are set to read stopped train and read train contents, I think. Alright, yeah, probably something like that. And then it gets fueled up. And set to automatic mode, where it's just going to sit here because we need more iron ore sources. So yeah. All of these guys are currently heading to iron sources. And they're filling the trains, but they're not potentially doing it fast enough. We might need literally just more speed. Speaking of speed, this is where our speed modules are. They're still not very close to being back to novice. We need 42 of them, and I think that's exactly how many are getting delivered, which is kind of funny. Okay, also these belts kind of need to be full speed for that to work properly at all. Alright, so the iron source. So most of these guys are waiting or heading to destinations, but we seem to have gotten a traffic jam. And it's that guy's fault. We can't have that, and we can't have that. So you need to just go forwards by any means necessary. Okay, if we just like take that signal out and put it back, then that'll get them through. And then hopefully this is set up correctly so that that won't continue to happen. Alright, traffic jam resolved. So that's cool. And now we are just waiting on the iron. So this, I guess we can get an additional train on iron plate source as well, because we're probably going to need that at some point, right? Alright, so that is going to get built. Vulcanist Support 2 is almost at the halfway mark where it starts moving quickly. Okay, Blue Circuit 2 seems to have mostly been built. We're just waiting on some stuff. What are we waiting on? Productivity modules. We're waiting on Productivity Module 2s. But we have plenty of Productivity Module 3s. So what if we just do those upgrades? So if these all go in, then we're missing like one Productivity Module 2, and now we've used all of our spare Productivity Module 3s. But we actually have Productivity Module 3s on the planet, so that is actually possible. Alright. So we've just thrown some of those in various places, and we should be getting the rest of them. And once all the Productivity Module 3s are in, then we should have enough that we're going to have to figure out why this isn't running. So, oh, I see. This group needs to be active. So we need to get our oil refinery and all that stuff. So how's the ammo going? The ammo is all backed up, actually. And it's just about finished. So yeah, it's actually looked at this with pretty decent timing. So the fuel and everything should be showing up now. Blue Circuit Part 1 already has those set properly. So it says they're on their way. It said that for a while. They're finally showing up. There we go. So that should just simply jumpstart this whole process. And now we're making some plastic. That should get the blue circuits getting crafted. Well, okay, we still need the uranium fuel cells, which are also taking weirdly long. We aren't, like, incredibly short on those, are we? No. We've got plenty of all of this stuff to the point where it's not even running anymore. So that's all good. We actually might need to expand this out to get all the reprocessing that we need. So let's just do that, because it looks like this is starting to very, very slowly fall behind. So we can just do that. Now you have your fuel. And what isn't running right now? So you're probably just heating up. So you are heating up. So this is still low temperature, so we haven't gotten the steam yet. So that's what we're waiting on right now. And our uranium fuel reprocessing should be in any second now. There we go. So that is good. Should never have a shortage of that stuff. So all of this is, it would be good. Okay, now I think we need to get signals on this side branch. So if we just get those placed in, and get this one placed in by the Spidertron. So now that's a different area. This should be able to come down and unload its iron, and then we should be good to go. Now this gets to be assigned to the iron plate group. And probably set to manual. Yeah, there we go. So now we have this starting up. And it's gonna be a little bit because of how slow it is at minus 60% crafting speed before the beacons show up. But Vulcanist Support 2 is here. And it's sent down the speed modules. So now this is down to only missing 2 of them. And we just have to wait for those all to get put in. So we are starting to see iron plates come out. And there we go. We're now filling up a train with iron plates. And in the meantime, all the speed modules are on their way now officially. So that should be any second now. Here they come. And there we go. Now we're cooking. We're just getting the first couple in. And yeah, now we are absolutely producing iron plates at a much more respectable rate. And there's even more to go before this is all in. Now back over on Vulcanus, how is this going? We have 6 of them. Did we just launch some, or are we still just very badly low? Yeah, we're still not doing great over on Vulcanus. So that's going to be another thing which we're going to need to fix. We need a lot of speed modules to get things going fast here. Alright, so we are now filling up a train with iron plates, and it seems to be going fast enough. So that is neat. Yeah, all of this looks like it's working. And, I mean, we could fit even more of these guys in. And not be super low on the metal, so this is like 1,000, and this is not anywhere near that. So yeah, we could fit even more iron plate production onto this whole thing. Hopefully, we're just going to be fine with it as is. Okay, we lost a drone for the first time in a while. Where did that happen? Up here. Okay. Well, you have an artillery turret right there, so you should be fine. And then speaking of defenses, let's get a laser wall around this. And if we want to expand, we can expand sort of vertically downwards like that instead of expanding out to the west. That we should have plenty of space for that. And that wall should have us covered mostly. I mean, they can obviously always come in from some weird direction, but it should be mostly fine doing it like that. So that gives us our iron plates. Now, if we then go back to over here, this has still somehow managed to completely juke out all of the iron plate supply. So where's our other... The other place we send iron plates is up here. And it is doing its thing. So this train is all filled up and headed out. So one thing which we are going to want is upgrade these to stack inserters. Just the output portion specifically, so that we can fill up during these times where there isn't a train present, and then deposit it all very quickly into the train when it shows up. So that's all good. This train is off getting more supplies. That's fine. We are at super high efficiency because of the way we do this, so it should be okay. And we are just going strong. And the stack inserters are mostly in. Did I miss this top row? Yeah, I missed that top row. So you get stack inserters, and you get stack inserters. Alright, so that is all good. Now, over here, have you gotten anything? Nope. We just keep bringing our iron plates up to here, apparently. Which is fine. I mean, this is like powering our whole factory, right? So, not complaining about that. But this guy is stuck in here. How does this normally work? Aren't you supposed to be able to get out of here without doing any of this stuff? How is this supposed to work? Interesting. Where are you even going? You're trying to like go down there and up around this way? Alright, that is not ideal. Because there's not really the room to fix it. Like, this is just sort of a problem. I guess as long as that train leaves every so often, it's fine. So as long as we're using a whole lot of iron through this belt, then it could be a lot worse. Alright, so yeah, now our iron plate supply is officially capped out. Although I guess we can unlock all of these and just literally fill up entirely. So that is that. Alright, over here we've got more iron going down to there. So these two, they do seem like they're constantly filling. Are all of these working? Including like this one down here? Yeah, apparently. Yeah, no, I don't like that. You all get upgraded at least a little bit. There. We can have some faster belts, and we missed like this tiny chunk around the edge, but that's probably fine. So all of this stuff gets upgraded. Okay, meanwhile, over here, is this doing its thing? How many of these do we have? We have 5 ultras. That's so few for how long it's been. Although I guess that's probably because of the plastic problems that we were having earlier, which seem to have been pretty significantly addressed. I mean, we have stockpiles of crude oil here, so that's cool. Our agricultural science is still completely broken, by the way, and I don't know why. I haven't been able to spot anything wrong with it anywhere in particular. So Gleba support is over Gleba. It's receiving agricultural science, but it just somehow isn't delivering it properly for some reason. Alright, so this whole giant row is getting upgraded. So hopefully that will get these trains supplying iron plates faster. Check down here. Still nothing has come down here. And this train is stuck again. Why? Why are you stuck there? So if we pull up our signals... Oh, it's because this whole thing is also treated as one giant block. So we need to get some signals over there. And I don't know where I placed those for the Spidertron. But we can just dismantle that and rebuild it. And then hopefully the other one shows up soon. Alright, there we go. So that's all functional. Now this is going to fill up super quick. And I suspect that this is now like our primary iron plate supply. That cargo content is going up real fast. So that is... Yeah, I mean, that's filling up basically instantly. I mean, at least relatively speaking, right? So you're going to be filled up, and then you're going to move out. And then, hopefully, in the time it takes for you to get back, then this will have regenerated, because we did pretty heavily draw it down there. But we have so much more capacity to add more foundries in here. If we had more speed modules, I would be doing that. And then just like have, what, 2 or 3 trains just visiting here every so often. That would be great. Okay, so this did eventually get its iron plates. And we still have deliberately not powered up this section because I had some reason for deliberately not doing that, but I've forgotten what it is. Okay, so now the only thing we need to do is we need to output this. So I guess for now we can get this just into a fast inserter there. And now let's see here. We just need to find some good convenient spots for substations to go. Like there, and there, and there, there, and we'll pop one in there. So once those substations are all in, then we just need to connect it across with basic power lines. And I'm pretty sure that this should just work. Alright, so the substations are all in. Now we just need these 2 ordinary power lines. And we're all good. So now this is loading up, making a whole bunch of boxes. Oh, right. I'd only filled up like the bare minimum of this with quality modules. And looks like we're going to need more of that. So yeah, now we are like 1 billion quality modules short. And this is just using the rare ones, not the better ones. Alright, already we're getting a couple iron plates. So this is already working much better, and like a non-trivial portion of this isn't even quality moduled. So we are getting iron plates at epic rating. So that is pretty neat. And okay, now we have the first level of crafting is all good no matter what. And then the later levels of crafting, obviously, even as things stand, they're not getting enough to use more than the first row, which is fine. So this is now doing its thing, and it is burning through iron plates like crazy, which is not ideal. But it's also just kind of inevitable. So we could speed this up by putting more in the first row. If we had the quality modules, I would be doing that, but we very much do not. Okay, I just saw another. Yeah, so this actually goes pretty fast, unlike the other ones, just because the processing cycle is faster and the inputs are enormous. However, we need to deal with the fact that we just burned through like 4 train cars worth of iron plates to get like 32 ultra iron plates. And the ratios will improve as these get quality moduled. But that's still pretty awful return. I was hoping it would be better than that. Because that's just like comedic at that point. Like, what are we supposed to do with 36 iron plates, right? Not much. Alright, so that is in, at least. At least we have it. And then we need copper wire, plastic, and holmium plates. And then that'll be what it is. But yeah, we've already burned through all those iron plates just instantaneously. And okay, I think we need another iron plate train because like there's nothing waiting at this stop currently. So let's add another one of those guys in. And you get 1, 2, 3, 4. And hopefully that gets all set up. There is a train on the way here, but it's stuck in traffic. Because of course it is. And hopefully it stays stuck in traffic until this gets built. Because we kind of need that. Alright, so everything except the locomotive is in. Which is, again, the only part that we actually really need. Alright, locomotive is in. Now you get set to the iron plate group and automatic. So now you can get filled up with all of this, and it looks like we're actually about to run dry of these guys, although we actually have so many more of them actually. I didn't realize these 2 boxes were entirely full. I was just looking at this one, which is mostly empty. Alright, so that is cool. That's looking much better. And then is that just going to go directly over to here? Yes. Alright, so let's just figure out what the ratio is. So there's 38 in here already. And actually, let's make a new box for this exact purpose. So we have 30. So we have a full train's worth of like what? Like 20,000 or something, 16,000 iron plates. By the time it gets smelted down, how many is it? You need to, like, I guess, loop back in so that you're not wasted like that. Alright, we've produced 20 million electronic circuits in the meantime, by the way. So that's cool. I guess it's better to have produced that many than not. I just wish it were going to something more effective than producing, like, 4 quality modules. Alright, so now this loops around properly again. And this is like almost depleted. We're at 38. That's fine, we're at 38 of both somehow. But we have more to produce here, so I guess we're doing better than the first run around, which is expected with more of these being moduled themselves. Alright. This is like the most comedically bad return on investment you could ever possibly do. Like, literally thousands, like what, 15,000 iron plates maybe? And we're gonna get like 50 to 60 out of them. That is insanity. Alright, well, I mean, there isn't really anything we can do about that, really. Aside from maybe just put off this even more until we have legendaries so that the ratios will be even worse. Alright, we do get the new train in. So, I guess that means we are capable, theoretically, maybe, of running this continually. Alright, we don't need all this. That was just silliness. We can just dismantle that. And then we are going to pop a drone port up here so that we can use our meager scraps of iron plates to do stuff. But we need more quality modules, which means we need more quality module production. Which, if we go over here, this is limited by red circuits, but it's not that bad. And all of these guys are just going as fast as they can, basically. So if we wanted to make this better, we would need to throw more red circuits into here to get all of this going. So we have 12 of these. So we can just... Oh, but we actually have a good chunk of those. Isn't that just supposed to be connected up like that? So that should give us probably another couple of these. Just based on the epic superconductors. Yeah, what's the ratio there actually? It's 1-to-1, so this should give us another 8 in theory. And then those will get sucked up into here. Alright, let's do what we can. These guys need upgrading to epic. So we can pop those in to make the returns be ever so slightly better. And we can check on products finished to see like which of these are the most significant ones. And yeah, it's basically these ones down here, these first couple. tails off pretty hard after like number 4. And these ones down here are super low priority. But it still would be nice to have them at least. Okay, so this, we are slowly accumulating quality epic plates. So that's cool. We need to basically just do this whole thing again 3 more times in order to get the rest of the resources we need. Let's see, what is there anything that we can do with just those? No, even the medium electrical poles we need copper cable for. So I guess we're just gonna leave it at that. So we can expand this out to make it go faster, I suppose. But it's already kind of going insanely fast. And this stuff over here. Okay, we have a train that is trying to get here but is stuck. Why? Why are you stuck? Okay, how is this not a separate... I could have sworn I'd done that. Okay. So that is going to get its own rail signal, which should get you through. And then our iron plate supply will continue to get used very, very heavily. I dramatically underestimated how utterly awful the returns were for this. Like, I thought it would be... I mean, I didn't think it would be thousands to, like, 100. Like, we're getting maybe, like, 5 to 6% return total. That's, like, kind of optimistic estimations. Okay, so these ones back here have literally never run. This one has run, like, twice. So we could take those out and reclaim their modules, I guess. So that should get these ones finished, since they're ones which actually do stuff. Alright. So that is even more iron plates going in. Yeah, this is ridiculous. Although, yeah, some of these guys are pretty low percentage chance, but they can be improved. So, we need to get copper wire next, which, let's see here. We just need basically the same setup again, but with copper, and I think the copper wire recipe is just like the best one for this anyways. Okay, wait, here's something. Is there a more efficient way of making the chests than assemblers? No, there isn't. So you can make the wires in electromagnetic plants and get productivity boosts, which would be quite handy. Alright, so let's just go to somewhere with free space. Preferably we could just like branch it off of here, maybe. Yeah, this should work. Right, so we just go... You are gonna go in like this. And then you just connect down to wherever you can connect to there most effectively. And then we get signals in. So you get a signal there. And this goes a little bit further straight down. And then merges into that. So now both of these are going to get some signals. Alright. And we get that. That goes in. Then we just copy this and flip it around, but have it like at the same height-ish. So something like that should work. If the rails would go in, then we could confirm that. Yes, so that's all lined up correctly. And let's put in a refueler. Like that. Alright. So that... The only thing we need now is we need to get this set up. Oh, and we also need the actual copper plates smelting. So I guess this can just be a copper ore thing. So let's get foundries in. Where are the foundries? And actually we can just copy paste that from this section over here where we did this. So if we just sort of copy paste this, just that entire setup, and bring it over to here, then we, let's see here, how did this, is all of this based off of this one singular copper smelting? It might be. Apparently we got more speed modules at some point, because it's not saying we're missing them yet. Oh wait, no, this whole thing is backwards. Undo that. Paste you in this way. Flip you vertically, not horizontally. That was my mistake last time. Alright. Alright, so this is going to go in, and let's get that across and call this train a copper destination. And here come all of the drones. Okay, now we're getting the registered missing speed modules. That's unfortunate. Alright, so how much copper is this? 20, 40, 60, 80, 100, 120. Just like at base, that's 120 to this 93 point something. So that is gonna be a bit of a problem. Alright, so we are filling this stuff up like that. And then the power is in. And now this guy just needs a requester chest for the calcite, which we're just going to have that be direct, I guess. So calcite, just get a decent chunk of it, pop it in there. And then let's get this whole thing powered up so that we can make our copper wire. And here we go. Apparently this needs drone coverage out here. So let's just get a drone port down there. It's a reasonably space-efficient spot to put it. Wait, this drone port exists. Okay, that drone port exists. We don't need that anymore then. Good job past me for including that in. So now when this whole thing gets powered, then this will get connected, and this will as well, so that's convenient. Alright, so there we go. And then modules are showing up. But now we have to check back over on Vulcanus. We are up to sort of mid-20s on Vulcanus. And mostly, I mean, we don't have that many red circuits here. But we do have some still producing. Okay, what I need to do is I just need another one of these guys. So let's copy you. Add space platform, Vulcanus, support 3. And that can supply even more coal. And it would be probably much more efficient to like redesign it. But we're just gonna be lazy for now. Get it going that way. So this is now producing some wire. Although not quite as much as we would normally hope for, but still a decent chunk. So, okay, Vulcanus support 3 is in. Let's paste all of this, and apparently we're going to have to repaste again to get the last chunk down at the very bottom. But that should be fine. Alright, so now we get that connected up so that these are all outputting to a single belt. And then we're just going to take this over here to somewhere where we have space. And let's see. So we have the wire already. So what we need to do is, yeah, I don't know whether this is more or less efficient than smelting to plates and then doing the whole loop. I don't know. So we have our wire. Step 1 is to recycle it. So we have, let's put some space here. We have a row of recyclers. We're not going to quite connect this up just yet. We're going to build this whole thing, make sure we don't miss anything important. Alright, so the recyclers, they take the wire, and they output some junk. Alright, so then, first, we filter out the tier 1 plates. Right, so this is going to be giving us plates, right? And the tier 1 plates, why are we filtering them back? That's not what we did over here, is it? Wait, it is? Alright, I'm confused. I don't know how that works, but it apparently is working, but I don't know how. So this, we put wire in, we filter out plates. Oh, that's because this is the fresh input of iron plates. Right, so this is going to be slightly different. We put wire in, we get a whole bunch of stuff out. So yeah, what are we recycling here? We're recycling wire down into plates. It's kind of weird. I don't know what. This should be like exactly the same process, and yet for some reason it's like slightly different in a way that's throwing me off, and I can't explain how. So we can make copper plates. we can make copper wire and EM plants, so we're definitely going to do that. So these just go like that. And you are going to be making copper cables. And then outputting those copper cables. And so wait, these are the ones that we actually need to filter now? Why is this so confusing? So the copper cables, we need to filter out. Wait, why? Why is my brain just not working? Like, what is going on here? Okay, no, I think we just take all of this back into there, and then that gets input prioritied. So we have our cables. They all go back. Then we just copy this a couple of times with different quality levels. And let's see, no, this can't be like that. We need you, and then to go out like that. So that you can filter out tier 2s. And then we just go up some of those, and then they output back into the same line with all the rest of the wire. And they are set to make wire from uncommons. Then, we're apparently running out of space here already, which is not ideal. So, do we just need to flip this whole thing and just build it upside down so that we can expand downwards? Let's do that. So you get flipped and placed like that. So we recycle the wire down to plates. We craft it back into wire here. Then output that wire back where it gets recycled again. Then if we get tier 2, we craft it back into wire and recycle it again. Then we take this across, and if it is tier 3, then again we just craft it back into wire, and this is the rare qualities. And then if that happens, then we just recycle it back into there again. And then finally, if it is tier 4, we bring it up here, take that across, and we craft it up into wire, and then that is that. So then this outputs to here. Actually, because there's technically a chance that the other guys also will produce epic quality wire, what I think we do is we merge all of those up, and so then past this point, then we go output priority left, filter epic, and then that just goes out to here and into a passive provider chest. Alright, then we need to get the modules in. So these guys, only like the first one is really going to need them. And then we need to put as many into there as we can, because the recyclers are going to be going around the clock basically as fast as we can produce copper cables. Probably going to need even more recyclers, but let's start like this for now, hopefully. So any cables we get from any of these machines are going to go into here. If we get tier 4 plates out of here, then they'll go through and get crafted up into tier 4 cables. So that should be fine. I wonder if actually the tier 4 plates are what we want, and crafting into tier 4 cables can just be something that we do later. Yeah, let's have that be how this works, actually, because that just gives us some freedom for, you know, just making other things. So this, we're gonna get this filter on here just to make sure that nothing weird happens, and then it's going to output into a box. Okay, then we just need all of this stuff to get powered up, which we can just do with substations. So you get a substation, you get a substation, you get a substation. Then we need to get the inserters. So all of this wire needs some inserters and some outserters. And just using bulk inserters for these should be fine. That one didn't even get modules assigned to it. Oh, right, because it's low priority. Okay, that's fine. Vulcanist support 3, still getting crafted. But it is getting there. Vulcanist support 2 is doing its thing. Vulcanist support 1 doing its thing. Back on Vulcanist, how are speed modules going? Up to 27 of them. And we still have a supply of coal. So that's all good. So now we just need to connect those power lines across. And also get this last bit powered up. So we just need one last substation back here for any future things that we do with that. And we really need more quality modules in this first row of recyclers, because this is definitely going to be running 100% of the time. I can't necessarily guarantee that about all the others. So this stuff making iron plates is actually going reasonably well. I mean, 740 some quality iron plates really could be much worse. It could be a whole lot worse. But the actual quality module production up here is doing its best. Why are you... Okay, now we're short on those, so Fulgora support. What are you up to? Alright, so I assume Fulgora is broken again. Yeah, sure is. Red circuits this time. So this loop got jammed. Alright, how did that happen? And can we just fix it via brute force? I sure hope that the answer is that we can fix it via brute force. So if we just put you on there and connect you into yourself and get you all powered up. I need to run up there to get stuff placed. There we go. So hopefully this will get the red circuits unstuck and keep the whole thing functional. Alright, so that is going. And is this running? No, these have both mostly stopped. But I think we should theoretically... Okay, here's what we can do. We can set you to filter copper cables only as a whitelist. We can get you to filter iron plates only as a whitelist. And now, if we just keep that clean, and you get a bulk inserter, because it's what we have apparently. So copper cables go that way, iron plates go this way, copper plates go that way. That should work. That should work at least better than what we were doing previously. And then we didn't have any like dedicated settings down here for that, did we? No, we didn't. Alright, so let's just like... How fast is this even going? This is not terribly quick. It could be worse, I guess. It could be worse, but it's not really doing all that much. Yeah, I think we need another loop down here. So if we just sort of... If we just copy like this setup and then just plop you in, but you are going to not request batteries, you're going to request advanced circuits. And of course we started with getting batteries delivered because of course we have. We can just yoink those out of the way. And then you need to be set to advanced circuits. This whole thing needs to be connected across. And then we need one of these guys to connect into that. And that should do it, in theory, maybe. So this is currently going. But now it's at like 9.5k, so is this running? No, it isn't. That's greater than 9.5k. Alright, it's not reading it properly, which means somehow it isn't connected in. Oh, I see what happened. Alright, let's just pop that in. And there we go. Yes. Success. Now the red circuits shouldn't be an issue unless this jams, which it very well could. But that should get this whole thing running again. And that is important. So this... We have plenty of superconductors. I guess we were just missing rocket launches. I actually don't know what we were missing. Alright, so Fulgora support is heading back without superconductors, despite the fact that that's specifically the thing that I requested. That's fine, I guess. And then this whole loop is looping. So we can continue to upgrade the qualities of these guys. So let's get those two, and then past this point we hardly ever use them. So instead let's upgrade those two. And this one doesn't actually work that way. So I guess we can just leave you. And yeah, I don't know, just assign all of those up to upgrade as they come. And then that should spare us the quality modules for this stuff down here. Yes, alright, so this is all moduled up. So, if I simply connect you in like that, and that should start making quality iron plates. Probably. I really hope so. Also, I hope the drones aren't insanely slow. Yeah, I need to just like at some point. I'm hoping to get some quality stuff going and then just like tear this whole factory down and redesign it, because it's such a gigantic mess. And constantly, like, connecting everything back into it all the time is making things very complicated. We're up to 900, almost, technically more than 1,000 quality iron plates. So that's big progress. Now this is running. And, okay, yeah, we need more recyclers. We need way more recyclers, actually. Okay, let's get these over here with a slight gap, because we need to make sure that the actual quality modules get in before it does anything. So yeah, this whole thing is basically jammed. Okay, so this whole thing is jammed because the wire is output full, and this isn't doing anything to help it. Alright, well hopefully we have the modules for those. I doubt it, but maybe they're sitting somewhere. Right, looks like we are occasionally getting some of those. Fulgora support is back at Fulgora, and it's not going anywhere. Why are you not loading those up? Alright, you are. You're about to receive them before you leave. That's fine then. You can definitely do that. And that should get this whole thing going again. Where even is it? It's like in here somewhere. Apparently we have 8 of those to spare. Nope, they've just been picked up. So how many of these are we actually going to get in? It looks like the first couple. Alright. So let's get that connected up. And also move that into there. And actually, I want that to be in before the belts go in, so that this is all powered and we don't wind up sending things down here for no reason. Alright, so that should be enough of a head start. So now we can send that in. And I really want to see some epic quality copper plates before we're done with this. Alright, we did get like the first 4 of these set up. So that's quite good. And now they're all powered. So we're just waiting on this, and then hopefully that'll be enough recyclers. It still might not be enough, or there might be some other problem with this, which is causing it to get stuck like this. But I think just brute forcing it with a huge amount of recyclers should, in theory, work. Alright, yeah, we are using all of these recyclers. We are using a whole lot of recyclers here. Okay, maybe making all these guys stack inserters will help. Just like get the belts more efficient. So you get to be stack inserters. Alright, so that should be something. And these guys are stuck because there's not enough production here. The rest of these guys... Alright, so we do need more tier 1 wire recycling. So let's get you down to there. And then across to there. All the productivity modules, all the quality modules go in. And then all of the inserters go in. Alright, so we do that. And let's get the substation out there as well. We're still a whole bunch of quality modules short of actually being able to do this, though. So I actually don't want that to be connected up until we get those quality modules. Before that, we need to figure out what we're doing about all this. So what is different that's causing this to loop properly and this to break? Is it just... Let's see here. So this... The reason this isn't going out is because we don't have enough of this. I'm pretty sure this production rate is the problem. Although this isn't producing because of this, so who knows? It is prioritized to go into here. Oh, maybe we need... Maybe we need you to be like input priority right, like that, and maybe that will help. Also, maybe this will just magically work. Okay, we can still do... We should have these, right? Yes, but it's kind of a pain to get them placed. So we can just do this for all of them. And we should have those, right? Because they are... I'm pretty sure we have like a stock of 20 of each quality. So yeah, we have 20 of those. So that should get us at least some quality modules in here, even if it's not the optimal ones. So this is 20%, this is 16%. Yeah, that's close enough. Okay, now let's get that belt in. And all of these are getting placed, and we should be there. Just once this belt goes in, hopefully this whole thing will unstick. Now our iron plate production is still going strong. We're up to over 1,000. We're just waiting on this belt. And I don't know if that'll actually unstick the whole thing, but here's hoping. Alright, so there we go. Okay, it's looking a little bit better, but ultimately not quite functional. So we're still not getting enough. Yeah, maybe the throughput is just the problem. So we can't get enough into this row. So over here we had like a huge amount of throughput per second, and here it's relatively low, so that's probably the problem. We're gonna have to fix that, but it's about the time where I wrap up the stream, so I think we're gonna end it here for today. Thanks everyone for hanging out. We are still getting a handle on how exactly quality works, but if we can get this copper going, then that'll be huge, because then we can make at least some like epic quality stuff, maybe. And yeah, so that'll be that. So thanks everyone for hanging out. I will be back again streaming tomorrow doing Satisfactory, where we're working on neural quantum processors. And I will be back here in Factorio on Friday, where we're just going to continue bashing our head into the quality wall until something finally clicks. So if you're interested in any of that, make sure to stop by next time. I stream every weekday from 2 to 5 Eastern Time, so follow if you haven't already. And that's about it. Thanks for hanging out, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.